Drum roll, please. Episode number 100. 100 episodes of the Ecom Dispensary. It's a special episode, guys. Thank you all for being here. Me and the Scott Man have very much enjoyed our time doing the Ecom Dispensary. And I mean, we really just got started. So it's going to be exciting to see where we're able to take this and the journey that you guys are going to be along for. I think it's going to be fun. We're having a great time doing it. We hope you guys are as well. In this one, we're talking about kind of a weird topic. I think it's not necessarily something that you would think would be like that important or useful or something. But I think this is actually going to be a really freaking fire episode. And this one we're talking about how to think about /use /benefit from other existing ecom stores. So this was inspired by a DM that I got on Twitter a little while back. I don't even know when, because I rarely check my Twitter DMs, but sometimes I do. Someone DM'd me and was basically asking the question, if there's another successful ecom store selling the product, do you think it's still worth validating? Now, we're going to answer this question, but that just got me thinking about, there's a lot of stuff about, how people view other ecom stores. I feel like a lot of people have a weird and potentially misinformed view of other stores and like how they should be thinking about them, how they should be using them, how they can benefit from them. And other stores that like existing brands, stores, businesses, etc., that are already successful, these can be extremely useful if you know how to use the info in the right way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Scotty, I'm going to let you take it from here, man. What's the word? What is the good word?
Right. So I think for one, if you see a store that is running successfully, meaning it's running for weeks and months at a time, it's obviously working. They've got a huge Facebook following. They have killer custom content. There's obviously money behind the store. I think you can assume that it's working for them, at least getting a lot of sales. If they're VC backed, sort of funded, a big company like that, they might not actually be profitable, but they're at least getting sales. And what you can then say with a high degree of certainty is that there's a market there. Copying them one for one, probably not going to work for you. Taking the same exact product and selling it rarely works. It can work if you change up the marketing and you have a different angle or a different ad or something, but I wouldn't recommend just blatantly copying any sort of store. But I think you can learn a lot from it. You can look at what's working and ask yourself, why does it work? What is it that they're doing well? Why is it working? Is it the offer? Is it the angle? Is it the marketing? Is it who they're going after? Is it the ad content? What is it that is making this work? And then applying that to your own thing. I also think people kind of go in two ways. They see a store that's working and they're like, I can't enter this because they're already doing it. I think that's wrong. I think if you're different in some way, you can still be very successful even if someone else is already running it. Number one.
Whoa, Scotty, be careful there, man. That's what the next episode's about, okay? Don't be getting
Oh,
ahead of yourself.
shit. Damn. Lost my train of thought there. So the one group of people sort of looks at something, they're like, okay, someone's already doing this. I can't do this anymore because of that. I think that's wrong. The other group of people looks at a successful store and just more or less blatantly copies it, but changes one or two small things. And then they think they're also going to work. Sort of along the mantra of copy what's already working to find success. Also generally not a good approach. Yeah, I think you want to look at the bigger picture. Like, who are they selling to? Why is this working? And how can I apply this to what I'm doing myself? Yeah. And then also there's the question of, are they actually profitable? Because a lot of stores you might see running, even for longer times, might be stores like our friend from 2 episodes back who was running for 6 months but wasn't really profitable. So you might be a second grade, like a lower quality knockoff of something that isn't quite working. And then you're asking yourself, why is my second level knockoff not working? And it's because the original isn't even working and you're worse. So, and then there's also the case of like just Facebook data and Facebook algorithm favoring someone over you. A lot of times something that's already working, you might actually improve it, but it's not going to work for you. And I think probably that just has to do with Facebook's algorithm, their ad account data that your competitor has a lot more of. Um, I've seen that. I've seen that firsthand where you'll take something that seems to be working really well, you improve it substantially, and it just does not work at all for you. And in those situations, I think you want to forget about the competitor and just analyze your own results. When you're analyzing your own results, the competitor doesn't factor into your own analysis. You have to actually look at your results and forget about them in that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because that could be helpful if you could see their actual results. If you could see the actual competitors' profit and their sales and all the numbers, like, and maybe that would be useful. But you can't. You can see that they're running ads. You can see how many likes they have on their Facebook page, but you don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. And I think people just tend to make assumptions about just because you see something that looks like it's working, that does not mean that it is working. Um, I mean, if we had to give a specific heuristic for like, okay, is this profitable? Like most likely, if the Facebook page has over 1,000 likes and they're running a lot of different ad creatives, I would say that that's probably a pretty solid indication that it's working. Now, it's not foolproof. Someone could just buy a bunch of Facebook page likes for no reason and run a bunch of ads that are unprofitable. I mean, that can happen. But chances are, if it's got like over 1,000 Facebook page likes, the way that you get Facebook page likes is by running ads. It just kind of happens, like, just as a result of you putting your brand in front of a lot of people. If it's got over 1,000, that means they've run a decent amount of ads. So I think that's a decent heuristic, but again, not guaranteed. Um, but I think it is pretty funny how it doesn't really make any logical sense, but just copying a store that's already, even if you're like 99% sure that it's successful and it's actually profitable, copying a store like that basically straight up is like, it just never works. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. It just never works. Um, Kind of to expand on what Scotty was getting at, what existing stores can be really useful for is for getting inspiration and getting ideas. So I think people tend to do this thing where they see a store that's successful and they're like, okay, so they're selling this product. And their first inclination is like, I should sell this product, which I mean, could be a conclusion to draw. It could be, but there's also a lot more to it. There's a lot more kind of foundational things in e-commerce that are the reason that something is working beyond just the product itself. For example, it could be pretty useful to look at an existing store and look at the market of people that they're selling to. Might be a good market to sell to. You could sell to that same market, sell a different product, use a different angle, something along those lines. You look at the product, obviously, that maybe you could take the same product that they're selling and market it to a more specific sub niche of that market, or maybe a completely different market altogether. You can look at the ads a brand is running. That can be very helpful for kind of getting inspiration in terms of like style and for different angles. For example, we have like our team, we have an Instagram like DM group just called like ad creatives and brand inspiration. And whenever any of us sees a good ad, we just throw it in there, and we just have this kind of like chat just full of inspiration for ad creatives. And a lot of times, I'll see an ad and I'll throw it in there, and then I'll tell our content guy like, yo, let's make an ad that is in this format. And we do, and we test it, we see what it does. When you're looking at a store, I think it's really important that you kind of zoom out and look at things individually instead of Like, look at the foundational things that they're doing individually instead of trying to copy all of those things together. Because an existing store that's already successful can absolutely be used as a foundation, like as a starting point for your own store. But you got to go beyond just what you can see. You know, it's not just like, you don't want to just like look at their product page copy and just like copy and paste that onto your own product page. You want to look at the things that are more like, I guess, just more fundamental. The market they're selling to, the product that they're selling, the ads that they're running, the angles that they're using, the type of content that they're using. And you can take some of these aspects and use them as a foundation to build off of. You can copy pieces of what they're doing, but not the whole thing. I think that's really the main thing. Like, when people talk about copy what's already working, that doesn't mean that you literally take it word for word, you know, do the exact same thing that they're doing. Because again, it's just not likely to work. Copy what's already working is about using something that's already working as a foundation and then building off of it. You're not just going to be able to create a successful long-term business without using your own brain and doing some sort of critical thinking and doing something that is somewhat unique or better than what other people are doing. That's not how that works. You can use these things as inspiration. You can use them as foundational pieces, but you can't just copy it straight up.
I like what you wrote here in the outline where you say copy pieces of the puzzle, not the whole thing. I think that's pretty much the key right there.
Yep. And I mean, that's kind of like what we do. Like, very few of our store and product ideas are just like completely unique ideas that we came up with on our own. It's like, no, we saw an ad on Facebook, for example. We saw an ad on Facebook that from a brand that was selling XYZ, and we were like, oh, cool. Like, this looks cool. We did a little bit more research into it. And then that gave us the idea to start something of our own. That's literally how we get ideas. Like, I'm not just sitting here with a bunch of like great product ideas just sitting in my head. Like, I get them by looking at inspiration. Now, the types of inspiration, I mean, it's basically it's ads, and you know, it's ads from successful brands. It's the successful brands themselves. The way that you can kind of do this, probably the easiest, is just scrolling through Facebook and Instagram and clicking on ads strategically to curate your feed so that Facebook shows you more of what you want to see. If you see an ad for a sort of like drop shipping e-commerce product, click on it, go through, that tells Facebook that you're interested in that kind of thing, and they're going to show you more stuff like that. Another place you can go is myip.ms. This is a website. I don't know why the dot is .ms instead of .com. myip.ms. I think we've talked about this before. I think most of you probably already know about this, but if you go to myip.ms and then you search for the Shopify IP address, the IP address is the same for like all Shopify stores. So you can type that into myip.ms and then it will bring you up a list of basically all the stores that are hosted on Shopify. Now, I don't really think this is a comprehensive list of all the stores, but it's a lot of them. And you can go through that. You can look at some of these stores. Honestly, it's kind of fun to do sometimes just in your free time, just to see what kind of ridiculous things people are making money with, because there's just so many things that are just like so specific, so weird, and people are still making money with them. So you can find, you know, stores and brands that way to use as inspiration. If you ever have a random idea for a product, just type it into Google and look at the Google shopping listings. Look at people who are already selling that product, selling in that market, whatever the idea that you have is. And you can do recon that way and find brands that way. You can go on Amazon and go to like best sellers or like Amazon top movers, look for product ideas that way. You know, find brands that are selling those types of products and go and research them and see what they're doing. But that's the basic gist, I think. What else, Scotty? What are we leaving out here?
I think that's about it.
So to answer the question, the original question, if there's another successful e-commerce store selling the product, do you think it's still worth validating? Yes, it is absolutely still worth validating, because just because someone's selling something successfully doesn't mean it's validated for you. You gotta do the work yourself. You gotta figure out if it's validated for you, not for that guy. What that guy's doing, it doesn't even matter, man. It doesn't even freaking matter. You can use it as inspiration, but it's not telling you all that much about whether or not the product is going to be successful for you. And even if the product's successful for them, that again, it has like very little bearing on whether or not it's going to be successful for you. Don't go copying blatantly straight up what other people are doing. Look at what they're doing, break it down into those fundamental pieces, and then copy pieces of the puzzle, not the whole thing. You can copy pieces, use these things as foundational points, build the foundation of your business based off of some of these things that are already working, and then add your own twist, do something that is better, more unique. I think probably I'm going to say that for the next episode. That's more the next point I was about to make is more relevant for the next episode. So I'll talk about that there. But that's the thing. It's definitely very valuable to be looking at what other existing successful stores are doing. You just got to be thinking about it in the right way. So hopefully this episode taught you how to do that. And I think that will about do it for this one. What are we going to do here, Scotty? What are we going to do?
You want to sing a song or something?
No, man. I wanted you to say we're going to talk to them in the next one. Come on. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to you all in the next one. All right. See you there.